Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And those of you who are not watching the video, you are totally missing out on cute little Autumn sitting behind me, being a part of the episode. So, all right. I'm trying to record these more during the day so that I can get more sleep. And I'm being pretty successful so far. I feel like I have so many things I need to do during the day, but I really don't. It's about prioritizing. So that sleep is my priority. And so I need to get things out of the way during daytime sunlight. Okay, so today I want to talk about intention in recovery and its role in sobriety, stroke recovery, and mental health. I'll discuss what intention means to me and why it's so significant to recovery, and how evaluating our intentions can help us nurture our recovery rather than put us at risk, really, or hinder our recovery. So, what is intention and what does it mean? So, intention is essentially the purpose or mindset behind our actions. And it is about being deliberate with our choices and ensuring that they align with our goals and our values. And of course, this is not something that just is strictly for folks in recovery. It is really just being a human being and always being cognizant of why am I doing this or that. And in recovery, intention means to set clear and concise goals. For me, I feel like it's I don't want to say restrictions. I can't think of the word right now, but drawing a line in the sand as far as this is what I'm willing to do right now. Anything other than this is a little too much for me. And again, that can be with sobriety, where, for example, we were talking about this morning in the meeting about, am I willing to have other people bring alcohol into my house or not? I personally prefer not to, but I have just recently, I think over the past year or two, maybe, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before. I think it was the year before, that invited I think my mom and my niece to come over and have a bottle of wine for them to drink. And it's really because I evaluated my intentions about why am I willing to have that around me? Am I still going to have fun? Am I going to be jealous? That kind of thing. I always want to be paying attention to my recovery, my growth. It's really kind of a selfish way of living, because it's important that in recovery we need to put that first. Um, and I'll talk a little bit about how intention plays the role in stroke recovery also. So, intention is the depth behind our actions, the whys, and we decide whether we're going to go or not go. For example, to a happy hour for work, or whether we're going to commit to 3 months of stroke rehabilitation, we need to think about like, what value am I getting from this thing? What am I going to gain from the decision to go or not to go? And can I maintain that mindset through the follow through on the action? And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Are we asking ourselves why we're doing what we're doing and ensuring that our actions support our recovery? Are we just checking off a box? I'm doing this because I have to. That's never a good reason to do something, because you have to. And then does that follow through keep the same mentality? So for example, when I was working, my boss would say to me, several times he said this to me, I really want to see you at this happy hour this Friday for work. I was a director, so he felt that it was important for me to also have that outside of work camaraderie with my peers. And he was well aware that I was in sobriety, and he didn't just ask me that blindly without thinking through the importance of it. He was also always committed to making sure that I wasn't uncomfortable. I have a feeling that he would tell the waitresses at the happy hour, see that woman over there, make sure she never doesn't have a drink in her hand, meaning a non-alcoholic drink in her hand, or food or something like that. Like, I bet that's what he said, but I don't know that for sure. Anyway, I didn't want to mention that he would say, I really want to see you at the happy hour, with thinking he wasn't supportive of me. He very much was going the extra mile always. But when he would say something like that, I really want to see you at the happy hour on Friday, I would think for a minute before I would respond. I'm not just going to say, yes, I'll be there because my boss told me to, because I have to. I would think, am I going to have a good time being around people who are drinking? In the beginning, my answer was, I don't think I am, but I didn't know because I had never done it before. I didn't have my first yet. And those firsts I talk about are very important, to make sure that we can start figuring out what our limitations are, and that kind of thing. And we can test our limitations in a safe way. For example, with my boss being, stuck to my side, that was a healthy way for me to see, am I having fun or am I not having fun? And am I putting myself in a situation that I think I will want to drink, or that I think I will be able to sneak a drink? Will I be able to leave at any time if I decide I need to? And in the beginning, that first time I had to do this self-evaluation, I had already heard from the folks in my sobriety program how to manage this. So I was ready. I was ready to have my first. And my answers the first time that I was in this situation supported me going and being committed to my sobriety. So Friday comes around, I'm telling people are like, but Friday before a happy hour, people kind of stop working an hour before the happy hour. Well, a lot of people do. Some people are still working when they get to the happy hour, but so everybody's like, are you going? Are you going to be there? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm on my way there. I'm already feeling that like, oh, it's too much. It's too much. I can't handle it, before I even leave the office. But on my way there, I'm driving in the car. I think to myself again, and this is important. I don't just evaluate my intentions when somebody asks me in the beginning. I need to evaluate my intentions throughout the process, and the process includes driving there. So I'm thinking while I'm driving there, and I didn't turn my radio on or anything because I really needed to have a talk with myself, am I spiritually fit today? This afternoon, right now, do I know that when I go to this happy hour, I'm not alone? Meaning I have my higher power. For me, my higher power is all around me. Whoever and whatever I invite in my environment to be my higher power. Am I recognizing that I'm not alone? My boss was part of my higher power because, and still is, even though I don't work there anymore, but am I recognizing that he is there for me to lean on? And do I have a way out if I want to leave? Do I think that I will drink? Do I think that I will want to drink? And what it boils down to is the reason why I'm going right now while I'm driving there, the same reason as when I agreed to go days before when I was invited. I'm always thinking about the why and the value. And is this going to teach me anything? Is there an opportunity here? Or am I going to undermine my sobriety? So this idea of intention is important to sobriety and mental health. It's not just whether I drink or not, it's always making sure that my mindset is feeding my recovery as well. Am I able to stay focused, or is it getting loud in there? Like I talked about yesterday, I've got a very loud voice, inner voice. And is it getting loud in there, or is it nice and quiet? And when my actions are intentional, I am more likely to make choices that support my well-being. And if I'm intentional, it keeps me grounded in the truth about who I am and mindful about my subtle actions. Not the big choices like, am I going to go or not to happy hour, but the subtle actions. How am I going to navigate the challenges of being there? It's those subtle actions that can hurt me in sobriety and in stroke recovery, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it only takes a subtle choice to drink at happy hour. And it's every second that I have to be mindful of that. Yesterday, I feel like I talked about this yesterday or the day before, but maybe I didn't. I guess it would have been yesterday. I don't know if I did or not. Yesterday, I was I probably repeat myself all the time, but you don't mind, right? So yesterday I was making a quote unquote vegan Thanksgiving dinner. It did not taste anything like Thanksgiving dinner, but it was all right. Anyway, I made a homemade mushroom gravy and it was delicious. But I found myself in a questionable situation yesterday afternoon. And I was making the mushroom gravy in the crock pot and it called for red wine. And it's cooking red wine. But I just started cooking with wine like in the past year. I just started feeling comfortable doing it. I mean, the alcohol cooks out of it. I'm not concerned about that. I used to be, but I'm not really now. What I'm concerned about is my choices when I grab the wine out of the cabinet and cook with it and then put it back. It's those subtle choices that are the difference between feeding my sobriety or starving it. And it smelled good. I took the lid off to put it in the pot and I got a whiff of it, which I don't intentionally smell it. There's intention, there's, but I got a whiff of it and I liked the smell and that scared me. So I immediately, after I put it in the pot, I cleaned the little cup thing that I had measured it with. I cleaned that out immediately and I put the lid back on it and put it in the cabinet so that I was back to a comfortable environment. Like, so what I was afraid of is putting the lid on the crock pot, not the crock pot, the Instapot, putting the lid on the Instapot first and turning it on, and then being left to clean up the stuff. Because at the moment that the moment that I had a whiff of it and it smelled good, my red flag went up and I thought, I need to get this out of my environment immediately. And so I did it immediately because if I were to wait, there's no guarantee that after I put the lid on the Instapot that I would have made the same decision, that I would have put it back in the cabinet. Or I wouldn't have tried to, I mean, you don't know. I would have tried to fill up the cup again and drink it. I don't know. So those intentions are quick and subtle and need to be acted upon immediately in sobriety. That's what it's like for me. So how does this relate to stroke recovery? For me, an example would be how I approach vestibular therapy. So you guys know that I'm bouncing back and forth with whether I want to go or I don't want to go to vestibular therapy. And I did tell you that, yeah, I made the decision I'm going to keep going, but I think I did mention to you that I feel like it might be a weekly decision or a daily decision. The other day I was feeling extremely frustrated that I'm still dealing with the same symptoms as I ever was and felt just as terrible as I ever did. And I was like, why am I doing this at all? Why am I doing this at all? Why am I paying $25 a week to still feel like crap when I go places? I don't know. For the past few days, I have felt like I don't think I'm going to go anymore. So, we'll see. I don't feel bad about that. It is, I think, stressful to constantly have this back and forth self-talk, I don't think that that's healthy for me, but I need to think about when I do go to vestibular therapy. So I have one on Wednesday. when I go, am I going with the intention of learning how to live a more fulfilling life? Because if I go on Wednesday with that intention, I'm more likely to instill the suggestions, the tips and tricks she gives me, and practice the exercises that she gives me that have the potential to decrease my triggers. Without that intention, if I just go because I'm just checking it off to, say that I went, without that intention, I might find myself just almost purposefully not doing the exercises that she gives me and making decisions that don't serve my recovery. Being very, what's the word when you're retaliatory about what you're supposed to do. And so I need to be cognizant of the value that I feel that I'm getting from vestibular therapy. And it's very much in question right now. But there are so many other things that in recovery, stroke or sobriety, or whatever you may be recovering from, that we have to evaluate our intentions when we're doing things for the recovery. So attending sobriety meetings, attending support group meetings, ask yourself why you're there. I find myself sometimes showing up to my 8 o'clock meeting after I've already gone through a 7 o'clock meeting and thinking, why am I here? Am I genuinely seeking help and connecting with others? Or am I just trying to check the box? Because for some reason I've all of a sudden given myself a requirement to go to 2 meetings in the morning or not. So sometimes I stay and sometimes I don't stay. And by setting that intention, am I going to actively participate and learn? Or am I not even listening to what people are saying? That's where the value of the experience is. I have to constantly be thinking about, why am I doing this? Exercising. Phew, there is intention behind exercising even. Are we exercising to improve our health and our strength, or are we exercising out of a sense of obligation? Do we dread exercise? If so, it is doubtful that we are going to keep doing it. And I have to take time to think about, how can I make exercise more enjoyable? For me, in stroke recovery, the exercise that I want to do, I can't do, like running. I can't do it. So I need to think about, am I enjoying the exercise that I can do? Like yoga. I used to love yoga. I did it every single day at 4 o'clock. You guys know that if nothing, I'm consistent. I, and for some reason, I just don't enjoy it now. Probably because it's the only thing I can do, and before it was a choice, and now it seems like it's more of like, okay, this is your only option. I don't know, but I need to set a positive intention to make my workouts more meaningful and motivating. And for me today, it means that right now I'm just trying to move my body in a way that I can enjoy what I'm doing. So today I walked Autumn over here behind me. I walked her longer than I normally do. I walked her about a mile. This is about the distance that when I allow myself to walk over to get my nails done, that's the distance that I go. And I was doing that like once a month, and it's a little sketchy, but today, this morning I did it. It was nice and cool out. I had just had a really good night's sleep. I wore a hat. I put my dark outdoor glasses on that are also my migraine glasses, but for outside. And I did pretty well. I mean, looked, I was constantly looking in the distance and kind of softening my gaze and really paying attention to, kind of like I talked about yesterday, my senses. I was feeling the breeze on my face. I was like taking in the smells of the outdoor and that kind of thing. And that kept me a little more out of my head and focused on feeling my body moving. That felt good too. I was paying attention to like, oh, it feels good to move my back and all of that stuff. So, um, it's, there's a way to do it, right? And there's intention, and I have to, I should say I get to think about, why is it that I want to do this activity? Is it because I'm going to enjoy it, or because I feel like I have to? Because if I feel like I have to, I'm probably not going to keep doing it. And how we care for our bodies and the food that we eat impacts our recovery as well. Like making nourishment of our bodies with healthy food and self-care practices intentional is just as important as the intentional exercise, the value that is behind it. And relationships are also significant in my recovery, and another area where I need to evaluate my intentions. Setting intentions to connect with somebody over the phone, somebody with my voice every day. I need to make sure that I am constantly having healthy, supportive relationships. I need them. Um, I need to evaluate whether my interactions with other people are contributing positively to my mental health, or if they need adjustment. And sometimes in recovery, in sobriety, or in stroke recovery, vestibular therapy or vestibular stuff, I I also have to evaluate my relationships and make sure, like, am I getting value out of this? Um, Again, it does feel selfish, but it's needed, you know? Also, am I making an effort in my relationships, or am I waiting for others to do it? That's my problem that constantly rears its ugly head, is I end up just sitting and waiting for somebody to call me. And I really need to make it a point to contact other people. So evaluating intentions is continuous, it's daily, it requires the pause, it requires being honest with ourselves, which is hard sometimes, ensuring that our actions are aligning with recovery goals, and that alignment is being carried through, that intention is being carried through the follow through. Not just when we initially make the choice, but in the middle, like I said, in the middle of the happy hour, do I have the same intention as I did when I set out to come here or not? When I'm at stroke therapy, vestibular therapy, am I getting frustrated, or do I still have the same intention that I want to get what I can out of this? Because if I'm starting to get frustrated, I need to tell somebody. I need to tell my therapist that. If you find yourself engaging in an activity, you're midway through and you feel like this is not supporting my recovery, take a step back. Like, it's okay to change your mind and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I still here? Am I possibly going to seek comfort in old habits? Am I avoiding something? By understanding your intentions, you can make informed decisions, informed choices, and make choices that support recovery. In order to respond to our intentions, we have to constantly be evaluating them, right? So thank you for joining me on today's Recovery Daily podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and reach out to me if you want to discuss any of the topics any further, or have a suggestion for a topic. I don't see why not. Let's take some suggestions. Something that I haven't discussed yet. I do have lots of people that reach out to me, actually, and share with me their thoughts on the topics that I've discussed and how it impacts them and what it's doing positively for them. So please feel free to reach out to me. I've had folks leave comments on the episodes, and I appreciate you for doing that. If you have left a comment, I tried to respond or like it, but I don't know how to do that on Spotify. So I saw your comment and I appreciate it. And I'm excited that you are a part of the community. So I wanted to put that out there too. And I think that's it. So thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you